Charles, today we've got the slow and the spurious because they're presented to us as presidential and vice presidential campaigns, but they don't seem like that to me. How are you tonight?
I'm doing very well, Jason. Thanks for asking. And I'm pleased to announce that I'm now a privileged person. I'm a person of color.
Oh, yeah. A
So I've been in the sun a bit too much. But
well, you're looking well.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. I won't say where I am exactly, but I'm on a remote island chain, quite a ways away from America, and it's just a pleasure. I mean, the people who are here, who live here, are delighted to welcome visitors. There's no begging of any kind. It's clean as a whistle. It's not expensive. The views are outstanding. The water's amazing. The selection of restaurants, you can be a backpacker and live on, $1 a day, or you can go to a fancy meal for two and it's $100, including liquor. So it's paradise. So I'm not going to tell you where it is because I don't want too many people to come here.
Yeah, nice? Well, most countries, they usually charge you more if you want a liquor, but that's all up to the buyer.
Right. That's right. But watching, I have been, because I am so many hours different, I get to peruse the news while you guys are sleeping and look at the analysis. And it's just crystal clear to me that this is a ticket that should never have been nominated by Democrats. And unless they are successful in stealing, which I don't think they will be, but unless they are, this could be the last time that the Democrats have an actual ticket. Because I think these two they're not Democrats, these are communists. They're progressive losers who, if you look at Waltz's, if you look at Harris's non-existent record, these are losers who have never accomplished anything positive on their own. Minnesota is in a race down the toilet bowl with Mogadishu. I mean, it used to be a great farming state. It had a tradition, a lot of Scandinavians in it. So it had the Democrat Party there is called the Farmer Labor Party. It's always been to the left of the Democrat National Party. But this guy is a loon. Nobody has looked through his record carefully enough. He nothing he says he is, he actually is. Right? He was no coach. He couldn't be a coach because he had a DUI. He wasn't he wasn't at whatever he said he was in the National Guard. Lied about that. He's just a pathetic liar and loser. And one of the very few people dumb enough to agree to be vice president to Kamala Harris, who was pretty fucking dumb to agree to be vice president to, the walking diaper, Joe Biden.
Has he done anything lately, Joe Biden? It's like, where is he?
He's on vacation. I mean, he's been on vacation for an absurd amount of time. And this, I am not pretending that I work for anybody or I'm running anything. I mean, I've been, in essence, on vacation since July 31st, 2002, but that's my own decision. And I'm, paying my bills and leading my life and trying to be productive. I'm not running for office or asking for anything. This idiot, Harris, I was shocked. In Free Republic, on Zero Hedge, there's this story that this, excuse my language, this fucking moron, Ian Sams, who was an idiot in the Biden administration press office, is now the principal spokesperson, I think, for Kamala Harris and on the campaign. And he said, when pressed on how come there's no policy, well, sir, we're not going to explain certain things that may have happened or not happened. We've got an election to focus on in the next 60 days. What the fuck are you talking about? This isn't a game. You got your candidate was selected. Hillary Clinton talks about, George W. Bush being selected, not elected. Kamala Harris has never won a primary vote for president. Not one. Back in 2020, 2024, not a single time. There were credible stories coming out of the New York Times, which I hate to admit, about how the staff turnover was so high in the VP's office, and there were so many problems in her supposed array of mandates with her non-accomplishments or worse, that they were thinking about getting rid of her. All of a sudden, the coup happens, and suddenly it's like going to you're in the Guyana with Jim Jones, getting ready to drink the Kool-Aid. So, this is a team of losers who is not qualified to run, and it's an important job to run a school district. They're not qualified to run a school district in Appalachia, you know,
They're
let
not qualified
alone
to run the bake sale at the school, Charles. They're idiots.
right, or a Kool-Aid stand, you know, and the two of them are strutting around. It's all window dressing. And I think the mainstream media has totally beclowned itself. I don't think there's any recovery for the Times, the Journal, Bloomberg, these people who refuse to get into the details and acknowledge that Joe Biden should have been out of there a long time ago, that he is dangerous, that the world is a dangerous place because he's still there, more dangerous than it should be, and that Kamala Harris has been complicit in this cover-up of Joe Biden, Mr. Potato Head. I mean, he was a potato head in 2020. And now, you know, there's pictures of him. Who lets these pictures out of the beached whale at, you know, at his mansion, one of his mansions down there in Rehoboth Beach? How could you let that picture out? It's scaring the children. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous to have him depicted like this and still pretending that he's president of the United States.
He's pretending he's alive in this picture, Charles.
Right. And then, Doug Emhoff goes on with Jimmy Kimmel, and Emhoff is Kimmel's promoting Emhoff as a sexy man. What are you talking about? Right? I mean, this is an unserious campaign in quotes. In contrast, you have what Trump is pulling off. I mean, it is remarkable to me. I am not a Kennedy fan. I do not embrace the idea that John F. Kennedy was Camelot by any stretch of the imagination. That said, it is remarkable to me that Trump and his team could put together an active set of effective spokespeople and surrogates in Tulsi Gabbard and Robert Kennedy Jr., and an increasing number of people drawn from very different walks of life than the country club Republicans who put George W. Bush in power and kept him there to the detriment of this country. And then this idea, I mean, you look at this and Kamala's team is delighted that Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney have endorsed, Waltz and Kamala. I mean, is Satan next? I mean, Dick Cheney is a disgrace. He's a disgrace to humanity. And Liz Cheney is worse. I mean, she pretended to be a Republican. She assented to the illegal, unconstitutional process by which the January 6th committee was constituted and then run. She was part and parcel of that, trashing true conservatives, putting grandmothers in prison on trumped up charges. And Kamala Harris is now embracing the Cheney family. I mean, it's preposterous. And the idiot George W. is not going to endorse anybody. I mean,
why do people care? Charles, I thought everybody hates these guys. Why do we care who they endorse?
No, it's great. What I'm saying is it's really a stupid move on Kamala's part. This isn't helping her win. This is enraging the patriots are going to vote her and her, stumble-bum president out of office. This is the last thing you should encourage. They should have told Liz and Dick, just shut the fuck up and go shoot somebody in Wyoming. It's just it's not helping.
No one should do that. It's not advice.
Go get in the car with Laura Bush and let her kill somebody else while she's drunk, which she did actually. I mean, these are not people. These are not people I want anywhere near the next administration. Let George Bush do some more watercolor paintings and glory in the $15 million that he illegally collected selling to Texas Rangers when he had borrowed against collateral that had already been pledged. These are not shifty. These are people who belong in prison. They shouldn't. And the fact that Bush is out there with Michelle Obama and Barack Obama doing joint presidential foundation events, I mean, it's repulsive. And on that note, the Clinton Grifter Initiative is scheduled for the 23rd and 24th of September in New York. And these people, again, they're really freaking stupid. They put together a list of people who are charity grifters. They're honoring this Tedros guy, who's the head of the
Oh
World
my
Health
God.
Organization. He's a featured speaker. Prince Harry is a featured
Oh,
speaker. You know, you go to the widow of Steve Jobs, who owns the Atlantic. She's a featured speaker.
yeah.
And the title of this thing is "What's Working?" The Clinton Foundation Grifter Initiative. What's working? The answer is not many full-time jobs. People with full-time jobs are working. Illegals are pretending to work under this Biden administration,
Oh, no, they're
Harris
selling
administration.
dirty fruit. They're working. I see them dragging around igloo coolers.
You know, it's just they really must believe. I think that a generation of people has been sold on this cult theory that unregulated globalism is better than nationalism, and that unregulated globalism by technocrats like Klaus Schwab is much better than having families, mothers and fathers, raise their children. That technocrats should educate you and decide what you read and what you tell your friends. The technocrats should decide who gets to live and die when they get sick. The technocrats have the mansions. You live in a container if you're lucky, if you don't live on the street. These are people who just need to be excised. And more importantly, there's a great organization called Retraction Watch, which is systematically now going after these fake papers that are peer reviewed and just demolishing them. Most recently, I don't know if you remember, there's this flaming, freaking idiot called Robin DeAngelis, who authored a book that was celebrated at BLM when they were baying at the moon on BLM, called White Fragility. And this woman it turns out she plagiarized the bulk of her, quote, scholarship. And in a fitting move, there's this guy, I don't know that I agree with everything he does, this guy, Matt Wolf, but he has a documentary out about reparations. And he has a black producer. So he got this DeAngelis lady to appear on camera and give the black producer money to pay reparations. And so that's captured on film. Separately, people are all over her fake scholarship. And imagine being so freaking stupid that you have to plagiarize DEI bullshit quotes analysis. I mean, being that stupid and then going around. J.P. Morgan, I think, hired this woman to conduct the seminar. Her book is just total hogwash. It's racist hogwash, gibberish. You know, and many of these 88 CEOs who are now signing on to endorse Harris are probably all in for this idiot. And on that point, people say 88 CEOs endorsed Kamala. Last I checked, there were about 14,000 publicly traded companies, and there are hundreds of thousands, not millions, of companies across America. So that all she can get is 88 wingnuts to support her. Wingnuts like this DeAngelis. I wouldn't be very confident right now if I were an insider on the Kamala Harris campaign. And as for this, another wingnut, Nancy Pelosi, who probably spent too much time in Japan and is maybe she's running out of alcohol to drink, and I'm making this up, she's probably drinking her own urine at this point, is saying that Donald Trump is afraid to show up for the debate on Tuesday.
She's so out of her mind. She's so out of her mind. How Nancy Pelosi?
She's a woman.
No, she's just an idiot.
A dangerous idiot.
We still don't really know what happened with this guy who hammered her husband. Yeah,
it probably isn't the first time he got hammered.
I know.
Hammer time. That would be a funny video to do. The hammer time. Yeah.
Somebody must have done that. Yeah. But also, Charles, we're hearing that there's 20,000 Haitian migrants causing so many car accidents in Ohio that the car insurance is going up. They're eating ducks or something out of the pond. It's crazy what's going on.
And separately, this has the founder and CEO of Waffle House died at 58, probably from eating too much
really?
lard. But anyway,
he
did just die, yeah. I don't know if he's the founder, but he was the CEO.
Wow, at 58, that's not good. So what is this guy doing? He's just taking Canadian geese and rotisserieing them?
Well, here's the thing. In I know that you know tremendous amount about the medical profession, and I am very squeamish. But the one thing I do know about the medical profession is I think the overarching rule is first do no harm.
Right.
And these political assholes in both parties actually, who think that the role of the system now, because the governments in the U.S. is by far the biggest organization, the government, whole of government, as they like to say, federal, state, city, regional, all that stuff. You add all that spending up, it's by far the biggest organization inside in the world, let alone inside the U.S. And enough. What can they get right? What can these idiots do correctly? They trot out Mr. Diaper to some speech where he said he was going to put Trump in the middle of Arizona and tried to brag about all the good works he's been doing with his Green New Deal, which he finally admits the Inflation Reduction Act was not really the Inflation Reduction Act, but in fact was the Green New Deal disguised. And he brags about these various projects that are basically arguably not all that material to the progress inside the country, and doesn't talk about the wind farms that are destroying the coast in the Northeast, and
Killing
that
whales,
we're had
right?
to be canceled in New York. I mean, the last people I want anywhere near a business idea is some lunatic from government. These are not people who understand actually providing services that help people, or producing goods that have attributes that are positive. They don't understand any of that. These are people who understand flying around in private jets, going to resorts they could never afford to pay for themselves, having staffs they could never finance themselves, being paid honoraria and book deals, and getting prizes that they don't deserve. This is one big dangerous party brought to you, I would argue, by the Communist Chinese Party and other foreign interests that are not wishing the United States well. These people need to be excised from the public sector. And then if they have committed crimes, as Trump is threatening now, as he should threaten, there needs to be a serious and deep dive into what actually happened in 2020, what happened under the Biden administration.
2016.
Or further back, even back to 88, or maybe back to 1948. The more I think about it, I sent around to our close circle of friends, I'm beginning to question the origins of the Iron Curtain. Did we, we set up the CIA in 47, 48. The Iron Curtain came down around that time. Was that in reaction to the CIA, not, the reverse? And what actually happened after World War II, when the United States and Western governments facilitated the transfer of people like Stepan Bandera and others out of the theater of war? What do we actually do with these Nazis and neo-Nazis and brigands? How deeply did they get stuck into the West, and why? And who was doing all that? This is something that needs to be studied. There needs to be a root and branch restructuring of the educational system in this country. The idea that a Yale can charge $94,000 a year tuition, but still somehow need a government subsidy in the form of grants and tax deductions. There needs to be, we're churning out woke morons, dangerous woke morons, like Buttigieg and other people, giving them high honors, Jake Sullivan, you name it. These are people who should have nothing to do with government. If they want to spout bullshit from a park bench in Washington Square, go do it. But don't pretend that you're the national security advisor when you're agreeing to let all these dangerous aliens come in and inundate small communities that used to be the heartbeat of this country. What's happening in Springfield, Ohio is disgusting.
But Charles, doesn't it
that
seem like it's happening all over at once? We've got the migrants in Ohio. We've got this thing happening in the hotel right here. James O'Keefe had that story that the army is saying that Tren de Aragua. It seems like they're getting ready to really activate something. Like if all of these cities have these insurgent kind of gang armies do something all at once, what the hell are they going to do? And by the way, the cops in the army are helping these people. They're trying to punk me.
Right. That was a very great thing that you did. And this, Trump, I think, has spliced together, the campaign has spliced together Kamala cackling and saying that illegal immigrants are the least likely to commit crime in America. I mean, this woman is Bozo the Clown at least was funny.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this woman is seriously unfunny. And this whole, Spice Girl routine where she goes to the spice shop and simultaneously this woman combusts, cries on her shoulder and blah, blah. That was all staged. Just like the phone call from Obama, the phone call to Tim Walz. This is just, you may as well watch the Jersey Shore or
Right.
some show like that on TV,
I think Laura busted that Spice
Yeah.
Girl story. She had like so much information on that Spice store. I don't know what these people think they're going to do. They're super stupid, and there's a lot of people working against them who are very smart and extremely resourceful. Oh, look, she's got all
Right.
this stuff on the Spice people.
Yeah, I mean, it's just silliness. First of all, the idea that you should have a business that caters to one political party is just so badly wrong. I mean, why would you ever do that if you're a business person? You're trying to sell as much or provide as many services as possible to America as a whole. You want to stay out of politics. That's funny.
Kamala Harris washing kale or collard greens in the bathtub with Tabasco sauce.
Who's that person who does interviews? The black woman who does interviews in
In
the
the
bathtub filled with
Cheerios
milk?
or whatever, or the Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops, yeah. Put her in there. That's her only live interview is probably going to be with the Fruit Loop lady.
How could a bathtub full of Fruit Loops cause a major advertising issue for a clothing brand? Yeah, I don't know. This lady is doing stuff with Fruit Loops. People can watch that. She got some
No,
weird
the one I'm
symbols
thinking
there.
of is the one I'm thinking of is gigantic. It's not an athletic black woman. It's a Lizzo style woman.
Oh, yeah, no, this is it. Eating cereal in the bathtub with an interview. Oh, it's been removed, Charles. They don't like cereal in the bathtub with Barack Obama. It violated the terms of service. They got some pretty specific terms of service if you're not allowed to take a bath in Fruit Loops on YouTube. Charles, this is part of the reason I want people to be able to exercise their First Amendment right to bathe in a fruit-flavored cereal, if that's what they choose to do. So we're going to have to continue our conversation in just about 2 or 3 minutes on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, or subscribestar.com, patreon.com. There's a lot of ways that people can sponsor the show, Charles. I hope you've got the milk chilling right now. The second half of the interview, you're not going to go into the bathtub with Fruit Loops?
I would not inflict that pain on anybody.
Got it. All right. Well, we're just about ready to make our way over to the First Amendment Forum. What else do we want to say before we do that?
Well, just stay safe, everybody. September 11th is coming up, and there was some plot that was taken down.
That's what they say. I don't know about that.
But I would tread carefully. I mean, given the volatility in the Middle East right now, and the fact that we're far apart on any peace deal with Gaza and all that, I would tread very carefully if I were in New York right now.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying it's not dangerous. In fact, I think I even said to you on the phone that on Thursday, for the first time in 34 years, I believe New York became considerably more dangerous for me. But this is just, I mean, listen, it's coming to us from CBS News, which we know they're full of shit. And it's coming from the FBI. So this man planning to commit terror attack at a Jewish center in NYC was arrested. I heard that they thwarted a plot that this guy said was going to be bigger than October 7th. I mean, this is just another person, in my opinion, who's being groomed by the FBI so they can wheel him out in some orange suit, claim that they did this. This is some pot-smoking idiot that they groomed to train him how to build bombs or something.
Right. I'm just saying, if this in the next 2 to 3, 4 weeks now, I would not go out before 8 o'clock in the morning in New York City, and I would not go out at night. All I'm saying.
Yeah. It's good advice in general over the past, let's say, 4 years. It's really terrible how unpleasant New York has become. But luckily, people can stay with us and enjoy the show from the comfort of their own home, hopefully outside of a crime-ridden area, although it's becoming difficult to find those. Please join us, everybody. We'll be back in just 5 minutes, and huge thank you to everybody who is sponsoring the show. You know, if you weren't watching earlier, had a really amazing show. Charles did a special with John Cullen at 4 o'clock today. I've obtained unredacted documents from the Beaver County District Attorney's Office, and if people are interested in understanding what may have gone on in Butler County, Pennsylvania, on July the 13th, you've got to see this show. We went into some really incredible information, and nobody else has had this before. So stay with us now, watch that later, become a sponsor if you aren't already, and thanks for